Another UFC pay-per-view predictions video as we have UFC 281 right around the corner on Saturday, November 12th. Just getting my predictions for the main card. Always remember, the card is subject to change. Now it's time for you to smash that like button to help out with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to leave your predictions for UFC 281 in the comments section. And as always, subscribe to the channel. Kicking things off in the lightweight division, we have Claudio Puelles versus Dan Hooker. Obviously, Claudio Puelles being the submission specialist on the ground and Dan Hooker being the striker. If this fight stays standing, I think Dan Hooker wins the fight. If it goes to the ground or any weird submissions happen, I think Claudio Puelles wins the fight. I'm going to pick the slight underdog and go with Claudio Puelles in this because I think Dan Hooker's had some very tough fights and some tough wars over the past 5 to 6 fights, and I think Claudio Puelles is a up-and-comer, and I think he gets the job done by submission. In the UFC Bantamweight division, we have Chris Gutierrez versus the hometown kid, or old man, Frankie Edgar. Obviously, I could see a scenario where somehow, someway, Frankie Edgar wins this fight by decision and then rides off into the sunset and retires from the UFC, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Chris Gutierrez is going to win this fight and Frankie Edgar will retire. Hopefully he retires standing and not laying on the ground with his eyes closed, but I think Chris Gutierrez is going to win this fight as, of course, he is the favorite. But hey, never count out Frankie Edgar, but I just think he's too old and he's had too many wars. But that's, of course, my opinion. This is the fight I'm most looking forward to in the UFC lightweight division. We have Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is a really tough fighter. He's had some tough fights in the UFC, all exciting fights. Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, and Tony Ferguson. Dustin Poirier has had lots of wars, and Dustin Poirier, even though he's younger, it seems like he's the guy more closer to retiring, as Chandler just signed an 8-fight deal with the UFC. Poirier's the favorite, and I think he's a better, well-rounded fighter than Justin Gaethje is, so I do think Dustin Poirier wins this fight. However, I will go on record as saying I want Michael Chandler to win, but I can't pick with my heart on this one. I just think Poirier has too many weapons, but if his head fully isn't in it, Michael Chandler will take advantage of that and put Dustin Poirier to sleep. But I do think Poirier wins. I'm not sure how the fight will go, but I think it'll probably go to a decision, unless he can knock Chandler out. In the co-main event of the evening, we have the challenger, the former strawweight champion Zhang Weili versus the current women's strawweight champion that doesn't deserve the title after that snooze fest that she had with Rose Namajunas, and that would of course be Carla Esparza. I am picking Zhang Weili to win this fight. I hope she annihilates her. I hope she knocks her out, and of course becomes the champion for the second time. So I am definitely going with Zhang Weili. In the main event of the evening for the UFC Middleweight Championship of the World, we have the challenger Alex Pereira versus the reigning defending UFC Middleweight Champion Israel Adesanya. I think this is going to be a very close fight. I could see it really go either way. I think it's going to be who does something new that they haven't done before. Obviously, Alex Pereira has beaten Israel Adesanya before twice in kickboxing. One time he knocked him out, and I could see a scenario where he certainly does knock out Adesanya again, but I really don't think it's going to happen. I think Israel Adesanya has been in MMA a lot longer than Alex Pereira, and I think Adesanya is going to win this fight and retain the UFC Middleweight Championship of the World. Of course, like I said, I could see a scenario where Adesanya gets knocked out, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that Adesanya is going to win this fight and be the champion and possibly go up to light heavyweight again after this fight, because who's really left? He's already beaten everybody else, unless Khamzat Chimaev decides he wants to go to middleweight. So I'm picking Adesanya to retain his title in the main event of the evening. So let me know what you think as far as my predictions go in the comment section. I really want Michael Chandler to win, but I can't pick with my heart. I got to pick with my brain, but I certainly see scenarios where Michael Chandler beats Dustin Poirier. And then I think he either fights Beneil Dariush or he fights Islam Makhachev, whoever wants to fight Chandler next. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself because I do think Poirier wins that fight. But if Chandler can put on another show, he doesn't really lose any stock. So we'll see what happens. But make sure you smash that like button, especially to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Share the video with anybody that you know or anybody that likes watching UFC pay-per-view predictions videos. Sound off in the comment section about your thoughts. Let me know any fights that you want to see, or your favorite fighters, or your favorite fights of the year, or your favorite knockouts of the year. I have a feeling everybody's going to say Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, or Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.